Yeah, I saw an interview fairly recently with Kimball, who talked about Elon and having difficulties at school. He was beaten up quite badly at school and bullied a lot. Is that right?
No, no. On one occasion, when Elon was in grade eight, 13 years old or something, another kid in the school, this was a school in a high school. We used the government schools a lot in South Africa because they were very good. And as they used to be in England, the old grammar schools and things. Anyway, we, what was I going to say? I had him at a school that it was in a very upmarket area, but it drew its children from all over. And anyway, one child in particular, as it happened, as the headmaster of the school explained to me, this child's father committed suicide, and so apparently the child somehow had the experience of hands-on experience of that, and so when he came to school, people were talking about it, and Elon, had this inclination to say to people in his sort of wisdom, he sort of always had this wisdom, your father was stupid, which is probably accurate, but not actually something you want to do. And this kid was incensed. And when Elon wasn't looking during the break period, he pushed Elon down a flight of stairs. But it was two flights of stairs, went down two levels from second level to the ground. And it was long, straight concrete staircase. And Elon was severely hurt. So he was 10 days in hospital. But that's the only thing that ever happened. After that, I thought of taking the case to the police. But when I saw the circumstances and this other little boy was half Elon's size, crying and weeping and everything. And when the headmaster told me the story, I just said, look, let's just take Elon out of the school and Kimball and put them in another school. So I put them in Pretoria Boys High, which required me to buy a house in Pretoria, which was in another city. We were in Sandton at the time, and which is part of Johannesburg. And we moved. So, and there were no problems after that. And the headmaster of Pretoria Boys High even wrote a long letter to the press saying that bullying of the kind that is being suggested doesn't exist at Pretoria Boys High School. At the same time, boys, like in any place, certainly in South Africa, are forever teasing each other and, doing measuring contests, to see who's got the biggest biceps and all that sort of stuff. It's normal. And so you've always got kids at each other, boys at each other, but bullying where you've got one particular huge, monstrous boy who picks on some little, soft little kid. No, it's not the case. Not happening.
Yeah, and well, and the other thing Kimball talks about is South Africa during those times. It wasn't unusual, he was saying. He remembers one particular train journey where there was a gang fight broke out, and he basically had to
Yeah,
step over a dead body.
yes. Look, last week, my lady, Yana, that we have two small children with, she went to draw some money at an ATM in the town right here. And she got into the car, and and this male climbed into the car on the other side and put a 10-inch knife into her side. And she tried to resist. She had her thumb cut open and the nail taken off her finger, one finger. She's very lucky, actually. And but this character and his sidekick got away with all her things. Ripped her ring off and ripped her watch off and all the money she had and her handbag and ID and all that sort of stuff, all gone. And she was in bandages for a few days. She's better now, but that was last Tuesday, I think. And so, that kind of thing is pretty normal here. You get a lot of that kind of thing here. Over a typical weekend here in Cape Town, we don't even mention it. In the US, it's national news. But I imagine if you look at the headlines, you'll probably find that 10 people were shot dead in Cape Town over the weekend. That's yesterday and the day before. So I'm just guessing. I did that once, and I said to somebody in Cape Town, you'll find 10 people were killed over the weekend. So we had a look at the news. It was 93 people that were shot dead in Cape Town over the weekend. So this is South Africa. I go around armed. You have to be armed, and so. Yeah, so for Kimmel, something across stuff like that, it's not unlikely. However, I once took a train from Manhattan downtown Manhattan to JFK. And on the way, which takes a long way and it goes through various towns, two blacks got into the what do you call it, cabin, or what do you call it?
Yeah.
Train cabin.
Carriage.
And
Yes.
started fighting. Unfortunately, I was with my 6-year-old daughter. She was 6 years old at the time. I was sitting way up at the one end, but these two were at each other, and blood and hitting, and they were heading our way. And I started then they were huge characters. I thought, I'm going to have to step in here, and when the train stops again, I'm going to, when the doors open, I'm going to throw them out. That's what I contemplated doing, because I wasn't going to let my daughter suffer that, from them, because they were falling over people and all that kind of thing. That was in New York. Yeah. So these are problems all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I have a few friends in South Africa. I mean, basically, they say that they never stop at traffic lights because they're worried about carjacking and things like that. It's but Elon,
yes, terrible.
Yeah, and it's like as and the first time I went down there, you sort of lock yourself into the hotel room just to feel safe. Interesting. They say that Elon left South Africa in 1988 to avoid mandatory military service. Was that the reason?
No. We never discussed military service. He was, in any case, going to go to university, which would have deferred his military service by a further 4 years. So we never discussed it. I knew about military service, of course. I'd been in the military myself for a long time, actually finishing up as the OC of a regiment or squadron, as we called it at that time. And so, we never discussed it. Never discussed it. Later on, they said they left to avoid military service. No, that's just something they made up. It sounds good, That's all.
Yeah. No. I say that's the great thing about these conversations. If anybody would know, it's the father who brought him up. So exactly what happens.
I know.
Yeah.